Okay, so we have a sample question number 10. This one says, write in scientific notation. If you remember scientific notation, we have to write a new decimal number that's going to be between 1 and 10 times the base of 10, and we need to have an exponent. So remember, this is 5 steps. Step 1 was find the decimal point in the original number. So a lot of times, if you don't see a decimal point, it's at the very far right-hand side. But with this one, you can clearly see the decimal point is right here. So that's step 1. Step 2 is we need to move this decimal point behind the first digit that's not a 0. Now when I do this, I always go, just like I told you how we read. We're going to start from our left and work our way to the right. So this is a 0, no good. Has to be any other digit that's not a 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, no good. 0, 8. So I'm going to put the decimal point behind the 8. Now notice by putting the decimal point behind the 8, this is between $1 and $10. $8.20. Good. So our decimal number is going to be 8.2 times 10. And then our third step is count how many digits are between this old decimal point and now this new decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, it's not just counting zeros, it's any digit. So we got 7 digits between the old and the new. We said that becomes your exponent. The fourth step is determine if that's going to be a positive or a negative. Remember, I told you if you move this decimal point, which was originally here, and you move it backwards, then we know that this is going to be a negative. Or I also told you, think of your original number. Was that a small number? Was that less than $1? Remember, not $1, not even 10 cents, not even a penny. So because it's so small, we had to put a negative here. Okay, so either remember when you move the decimal point to the back, negative, or was your original number less than 1? The last step was to remove all these unnecessary zeros. Remember, the decimal point is not here anymore. So zeros at the very front of any whole number are not necessary to write. So notice I didn't put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I got rid of them. Zeros at the very beginning and zeros at the very end of a decimal point are not necessary. Now this one was a very small number. Let's do one that's a very large number. Let's say we had this guy. And let's put a negative in front. We said the first step is locate your original decimal point. Remember, that's a comma. So our original decimal point is right here if you don't see one. The next step that you want to do is going from this direction, from the left going to the right, look for the first digit that's not a 0. Perfect. We're going to put the decimal point right behind the 8. Okay? The next is count how many points or digits are between the old and the new. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that's going to be our exponent, times 10 to the 5th. But now we got to figure out if that's going to be a negative or a positive. Notice our original is here. Notice the new one we moved to the front. So we know this is going to be a positive. You don't have to put a plus sign here because it's understood to be a plus here. So we'll just leave it as a 5. Remember, the original number was negative 857,000. Now when we look for greater than 1 or less than 1, remember, we say ignore the negative sign in the original number. We only care about the magnitude. So 857,000, that's a large number. That's greater than 1. That's why it's positive. The last step that we have to do is notice if this is our new decimal point, this is all gone. So we're going to rewrite our decimal point as 8.57. But notice the zeros at the very end of a decimal point. See, here's our new decimal point. These at the very end, you don't need to write. And this negative, just bring it on down.